Hi there, I'm Martha Van Dam. Welcome back to Living Beyond, where this month we're talking about breast cancer awareness in a completely different way. You already know about breast cancer. So we're talking about new things. Yesterday we talked about inflammatory breast cancer. Today we're going to talk about mastectomy. This may not sound fun for you, but listen at least to this point. Did you know that over 100,000 women a year in the United States, over 100,000 women, and at one year's statistic that I looked at was over 140,000 women in that 1 year. So over 100,000 women per year have mastectomies. Did you realize that it was that high? Do a little math. If how many years does it take to have 1 million women in this country to have mastectomy? Less than 10. That's an awful lot of women who are walking around that you and I won't recognize, at least for the most part, you and I won't recognize, because women hide it so well an awful lot of the time. So you have an awful lot of women who have mastectomy. Did you know that less than half of those women will choose reconstruction? An awful lot of women, more than 50%, somewhere between 50 and 60%, will choose not to reconstruct. Either they don't want to the surgery, or they don't want the pain that goes along with it, or they just don't care. For a myriad of reasons, it may be a financial issue, but they choose not to have reconstruction. And then of those women, there are some women who choose just to walk around with whatever they have, either one breast or no breast. But there also are women who use some sort of prosthetic all the time, and as you walk past them in the store, at church, in the parking lot, you'd never know. That's what I want us to walk away with today. We kind of may have the idea that mastectomy is a very strange thing or very odd thing, and unless we know someone intimately who's had it, we may know very little about it. But the fact is, if you work around other women, if you work in a setting, or you live in a setting more where there's more than just the 5 or 6 or 10 women in a small area, if you're a part of a church, if you're part of a civic organization, if you're a part of a school system, so if you're out among women regularly, I promise you, you are walking past women every day who have had 1 or 2 breasts amputated. Now, we hear that, and it can sound very mysterious if it's something that you've never come close to. But I think it's pretty important for us to try to have a little bit of understanding, and here's why. It's such a common occurrence now, and the women who are having it are feeling like it's something they don't need to talk about. And so I'm suggesting, since it is such a common occurrence, and it is a very fine treatment for certain types or certain stages of cancer, then I would like it very much if the whole idea of mastectomy weren't quite so hidden. If we didn't feel like there was almost something shameful to walking around without 2 fully formed breasts. Our bodies change through time, and certainly diseases, accidents, syndromes, all kinds of things that can happen to us that cause our bodies to need to be changed in some way or another over time. Mastectomy can be a very painful event to have to deal with. Did you know that following a mastectomy, a woman generally has some areas of numbness across her chest, maybe even up into her armpit and down her arm for the rest of her life? Did you know that if a woman chooses to reconstruct and has reconstructed breasts, that in the vast majority of cases, there is no feeling in any of that breast tissue? Now, there is more research being done right now. There are some physicians who are doing new reconstructive surgeries where they're doing microsurgeries and they're reconnecting nerves. That is that's new, and it is not happening that much, and it's not even possible for an awful lot of the cases. For someone with inflammatory breast cancer, the automatic type of mastectomy, first of all, if you're found at stage 3, remember it's not recognizable at stage 1 or 2. If it is found at stage 3, mastectomy is part of the official protocol, and the specific type of mastectomy is one where they leave as little skin as possible, so everything is pulled really tightly. If we are doing a mastectomy For someone who maybe prophylactically, or for someone who has a different type of breast cancer, they may leave some of that skin tissue and then be able to put an implant behind it later on, or other tissue behind it to create a new breast. So if it is the woman's breast tissue that is being used, the breast skin, I'm sorry, it may be able to continue to have some nerve life to it. But if it has been a non-skin sparing mastectomy, which is always the case in inflammatory breast cancer, and if it's not, you need to find another surgeon. But if that is the case, then there will be not any nerves present if a new breast is reconstructed, because it's all cut. So important to know, following mastectomy, there can be dead zones where there's absolutely zero feeling at all. What about the pain following a mastectomy? What about the discomfort? They can be very painful. Not as painful as you might imagine, but the getting used to moving your arm again with everything as tight as it now is can be very difficult. As the nerves come back to life and begin to grow a little bit back down the arm and try to regenerate, that can be very painful. I can remember people would want to touch my arm thinking that they were being kind, and I would want to come out of my skin when they would touch the back of my arm, because that's where all those nerves were trying to grow and regenerate again. Oh, it was so very painful. So important part, really message for you today, mastectomy awareness. I promise you, if you're walking or if you're around women, then you're being around some women who've had mastectomy. So let's just be aware of it. Let's make it more of a common thing as far as an accepted thing. And let's be so aware that it doesn't sound like such a strange thing. Hope that you have a wonderful day. This isn't meant to be scary. It's meant to be informative. And the more we look at things square in the face, the more we face to face with things maybe that have scared us in the past, the less frightening they become. I have had a mastectomy on one side of my body. I live a full and wonderful life. It does not hamper me. Am I aware of it? Oh, yes. Do I forget it? Oh, no. It is constantly a daily part of my life. Is my life wonderful anyway? Absolutely. Please feel free to contact me if you have questions about mastectomy. If you have concerns or fears about mastectomy, please contact me. You can contact me, and on whatever platform you're watching this, there'll be some sort of digital messaging. So please feel free to reach out to me that way. Thanks so much, and I hope you're having a beautiful, wonderful October. Bye-bye.